AppCoins, the protocol for the app economy.
We have one other question about the project, and some users have compared AppCoins with Basic Attention Token. Are they competitors? What would you say?
Well, we were inspired by Basic Attention Token, so it's not something we created on this flow that we described before for advertising, because we think it's a really great idea. We just picked this idea and try to implement it in a different context. That's it. So Basic Attention Token is primarily designed for the web experience, and we are proposing this within the App Store experience and the app economy. But the same concept of the attention of the user as the basic solution for advertising, because the flows that we have today, and CPI is the most popular for apps, the cost per installation, is not working properly. And there are several problems, so the developers are not benefiting from it. It's not a transparent process. Even the app stores also could get much more benefit if this flow was done in the right way. And the attention model seems to be a very good solution for this, providing a simple but effective way to do advertising. Thanks.
Another question regarding other ICOs. Do you think it is risky to use Radin, a new project still being developed, to base your ICO on?
We are doing proof of concepts with Radin. You can go to our GitHub and check the code, the Radin, micro Radin integration and tests that we are doing. In 6 months' time, where we start to roll out Aptoid versions of the protocol into beta users, it's not guaranteed that it will be Radin. We have been talking with Omisgo as well and other projects. So for the time being, I would separate between two things. Some transactions that go directly to the blockchain because we can afford that in terms of transaction time, in terms of transaction fee, in terms of scalability. I'm thinking about buying something. It's something that can go today to the Ethereum network, and things that really need a scale approach. And those things, the technology is not yet defined. The protocol is very well defined, but gives also some margin to technical implementations. So I would say that scalability is an issue for sure, but in the next months, there are different projects going on, and AppCoins and the AppCoins supported app stores will choose the one that better fits their needs.
Thank you. Following that question, could you please talk a bit more about the roadmap of AppCoins? What will be the next step, and when do you plan on launching AppCoins, the protocol, and to be used by all the intervenients?
So, as Paul mentioned, we are already developing and testing the technology, of course, and this takes time. It's an early stage technology, of course, and we need to make sure that it's usable in terms of scalability, of security, everything. So it's in place. But the idea is to develop a first version, an MVP, in the next 6 months. And then launch this on Aptoid in 12 months, in a year's time. And of course, after that, and in the meantime, we'll try also to promote this among other players like OEMs and other app stores. And it will depend on them, of course, to start using the protocol. But we expect that after this first year, which will be mostly the development of the first version of the protocol and the technology, and the first bootstrap, we will have more players in the market using it.
I just compliment saying that sounds like a little bit in the future, but for the ones that are interested, probably they saw the tweets that the AppCoins community team has done about the first transaction of an in-app purchase directly in the blockchain. So the team already produced a proof of concept where someone using a game or playing a game could buy things, and he would pay in a ERC20 token, an AppCoin, and that would be registered in the blockchain. And there was a smart contract that is in the blockchain, both in the main network and in Robston network, that you can check, that would split the margins between the developer, the App Store, and the OEM. So there are already proof of concepts. The code is in GitHub. Go there and check it.
Thank you. We will be posting more about that, and also as a way to explain it better to the people, our tech team is also helping us, the community team, on providing more details and how we did it and how it is actually possible to implement the protocol. We have a question from Naz. Is asking what happens to unsold coins in the ICO? Are they getting burned?
That's it, precisely. So we won't have these coins, of course, if they are not sold.
Yeah, so they will be burned.
They will be burned then. Yeah. For all of those who have read the white paper and are still on the fence about contributing to our ICO, what can you tell them that could lead them to buy into the project?
Okay, first of all, this project is backed up by Aptoid, which, as we mentioned before, is running in this business of app stores for quite a long time. We learned a lot in these years, and we really understand what are the problems and constraints that we have in the market. We also have a user base. The project we launched and the community-driven app store that we launched a few years back proved to be a solid project because we reached 200 million active users in our platform. And so we are launching this based on our knowledge and about the apps market and apps distribution, but also backed up by considerable user base. And I think this is one of the few blockchain projects out there that have a good idea, but also very good support since day one, which means that we have the team to develop it, we have the experience in this market, and we have the user base to be able to bootstrap it and to make this happen in a shorter period of time.
Fully agree. I'd say that in the rational side, all the points are there. Team, market size, a reasonable hard cap, and so on. I'd also just add the non-rational side. So for all the dreamers that think that we can disrupt markets, we can break monopolies, we can give leaps in terms of how do we interact with technology, and think that app stores can be much better than they are, and they believe, as we believe, that blockchain could be that piece of technology that would do this kind of disruption and game-changing thing. Investing in ICO is the best way, not only to contribute to that, but more than that, than participate and interacting with the people and be one of the people that are building it.
From Marta on Telegram, in-app product prices will be set on AppCoins, and how will you handle the fluctuation of AppCoins?
Well, that's a good question. Yes, the price will be set in AppCoins, but we're still discussing how to handle any fluctuations. Of course, it can be dynamic, makes sense, but we need to figure out how to make sure that we don't have very high drops on the price or rises because of this fluctuation. But we are discussing it, and probably it will be dynamic, but it's not closed yet.
Maybe in this brainstorming, just to bring on to the discussion what we are talking about. So, for instance, appreciation. If the coin gets a too high appreciation, the users might not use it because it's a value and they can have better return of investment to keep it. So that's one concern that we have been discussed with blockchain experts. Another thing is user experience. Are the users really able to understand that the 5 gems cost 1 AppCoin, for instance? But what is 1 AppCoin? So other solutions that we are internally discussing is, in terms of UX, buying something could have AppCoins and the user's fiat currency indicative, just for the user to understand more or less the price that it costs. But that's more UX rather than protocol. So it's the app stores that might also propose that. to have a better user experience.
Thank you. Another one from Naz. How would you prevent the app stores from hoarding the app coins and decreasing the circulating supply?
Can you repeat that, Claudia, for me?
How would you prevent the app stores from hoarding the app coins and decreasing the circulating supply?
That's a good point. We can't. That's the blockchain, right? There are wallets, and the owners of the wallets can decide it. But it's also game theory and incentives. What is the incentive of the store to keep the coins? It's for appreciation. Yes, it can do it, but then it is not his core business of an app store is to provide applications and to support transactions inside the app store. I would say that would mean that the core business of the app stores would be investors and not providing the users with a good store experience. I'd say that is not aligned what the app stores are. So I would say that applying a little bit of game theory here, there is no incentives to be an investor rather than do his own job, which is creating a good user experience.
Yeah, and just complementing what Paul is saying, one of our concerns also, even with the pre-sale, was to spread AppCoins among users, as many people as possible. The idea is not to have like 2 or 3 whales or 3 big investors which control the market. The idea is to spread among many people, because we are talking about small, in many cases, or most of the cases, small investments from the users, like small purchases like $1, $2 today, which will correspond to 10 AppCoins or 20 AppCoins. And the idea is to make sure that this is really widespread, and it means that the control over the token and the token value is not in the hands of just a couple of investors.
Makes sense. A tricky one here. Are you afraid of getting attacks from advertising agencies and other middlemen? This ICO destroys a lot of current businesses.
Well, I would say, of course, if you are cutting middlemen, they won't be happy with it, that's for sure. But this happens in so many industries. We need to innovate, and we need to provide better services to the users and to the different business partners. And that's the idea behind it. We don't want to take out the business of these people. It means that they can also, if they see that this adds value, they can also participate in the project, because we have space definitely for many ad tech companies in this new environment. And if we succeed, there's space for so many developments and innovations on top of it that they will be part of it. That's the idea.
I just want to add, if let's see the blockchain, what it proposes is to disrupt, to bring other business models, to bring other things with this technology. If Uber was afraid of the taxis, of the cabs, it would not ever exist. If Netflix was afraid of video clubs, it would never exist. So if we are afraid of the current incumbents, the current competitors, the things will not go forward. So in this case, we are not only saying that we are competing with ourselves, we are competing with the current app stores. We have 200 million users, but we are not afraid to take the risk and to put some of the core flows of those 200 million in a technology that we clearly realize and that has a strong community behind. So if we are convinced about the technology, if we are convinced about the team, aiming higher is always good.
Thank you. A question from Benedetto on YouTube is asking about exchanges. I think we already answered this, but will AppCoins be listed in exchanges, and when?
Okay, yes, we answered this before. So we are, of course, in contact with several exchanges and to see how we can be listed. It's something we cannot announce today, but we are working on it, and probably later on we have some news for AppCoin users.
Maybe we could just say that our commitment is on 1st of January to be listed, because 1st of January, or the first day after the ICO, right? and that maybe during the period we could announce some names that if they are already closed, because we feel that the community has a strong concern about that. And as Alvaro was saying, we are working on it, but our deadline is or 1st of January or the first day after the ICO, or the first day after the tokens be distributed, to be a little bit more clear on that. And the second thing is, as we have a group of exchanges already closed, we will announce, even without being listed, just for the users to be also aware of that.
Another one about advisors this time. It's if we're still looking for advisors, and what's the criteria for choosing them?
Yes, we are always open to have more advisors if that makes sense for the project. So we try to have advisors on the different perspectives, on the blockchain, on the technology side, but also business-wise, how to implement this and make sure that we have a good deal flow with AppCoins. So we are open, of course, to have more advisors, especially in areas that maybe are not fully covered. And even we have some advisors that will stay with us not only for the ICO, but for a longer period, that is 1 year or 2 years. So they will help to not only develop the early versions of the protocol, but also to evolve, to make sure that we evolve in the right direction in terms of the technology we are using in business-wise.
Another one on Bitcoin Talk. Our announcement thread is getting a lot of questions as well. Could you elaborate on proof of attention and why 2 minutes?
Interesting question, difficult answer. So for each app, there is these tipping points where the user becomes fully aware of what the app does. If it's a game, how we can play the game and so on. It's impossible to say it's 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 1 minute, because it's different from app to app, from game to game. What we have been internally doing with some focus group was to trying to measure the right timing. And 2 minutes, on average, it's the moment where the user is starting to understand the mechanics of the app or the dynamic of the game. So that's why have we chosen 2 minutes. There are very interesting contributions from the community and from advisors about eventually extending these to actions. So not only 2 minutes, but if the user does this action, then it triggers the payment. Drafting the protocol, the first guideline is to be simple for everybody that is investing in the protocol, for everybody that is developing into the protocol to understand. When we got to this first stage of people to understand well the protocol, the second stage is to extend the protocol to be more usable and to be more useful. And that's the second step.
Thank you. Is there a big risk of token dump once AppCoins hits exchanges? Some ICOs have lost a lot of value. What are you doing to stop this?
Okay, we implemented some vesting periods on our side, for example, on the tokens being distributed among the team and the contributors, and of course we have some lock periods also for some of the tokens. We don't believe it will happen in the first stage, but then we will add more measures if necessary. And one of the things that it is really important for this is to distribute the tokens among different people and not have this in the hands of just a few investors. That's something that will make a difference, definitely. Otherwise, someone can just put this, just try to sell their tokens, and this will have a huge impact. If we have this more spread around many users and many investors, this is not possible, and this won't happen, of course.
We got a message from Teaching People. He's asking about will one be entitled to trade or exchange any amount of AppCoins on the exchange site, or holders of the coin will be restricted to only use a small percentage of their AppCoin tokens for the purposes of trading or exchanging into fiat currency?
For now, we don't have specific constraints on limitations on this, only on the AppCoins that are owned by these flows that we described before. For example, the users that get AppCoins because they pay attention to an app, These tokens, of course, will be limited because you can only use them for trading within the system. That is, you cannot go to an exchange and trade it for fiat currency, but you can buy any digital goods with it, and eventually you can also transfer this peer-to-peer. But that's it. But you cannot exchange. This is the only limitation, and it only applies to the tokens that are offered by these flows like advertising.
And we have a last one here because we're close to the time. What would you consider to be the main AppCoins competitors other than basic attention token?
We don't believe you anymore, Claudia. there were so many last questions. At this moment, we don't see competitors. We see other projects also doing their best to make the blockchain works for them. So we really cannot look around and see competitors. Just focus in creating the best protocol that suits app stores to serve this huge market, which is the app stores, to generate value for the users, generate value for the developers to receive the money, to trust the number of transactions, to generate revenue for the OEMs and manufacturers that ship the devices with app stores, and of course, in the end of the day, also for the investors in the AppCoin. So instead of looking for the competitors, we just put all our energy in creating a great protocol.
And I would say that, just to complement what Paulo said, this is the last question, right? Yes. So we have some more time. Just saying that, well, we have a monopoly almost on the apps distribution, and we think that we should be more concerned on getting together and doing something together rather than trying to compete. Of course, competition is always good, and we are launching a protocol which is open, so we are open to competition. It means that this protocol will be used by other app stores and they will benefit from it. That's it. But we believe that to try to crack this monopoly in the apps distribution, it's much more appealing to everybody that's working in this ecosystem rather than trying to, well, compete against each other, I would say.
Makes sense. We're coming to an end, so would you like to add something else that hasn't been addressed now, or is there anything you'd like to add? No? Yeah, we covered pretty, yeah, true. So yeah, so that's it for today, and thank you for joining us. We will be having more updates as soon as the ICO launches. We will be giving you an official date very soon. And we will then be hosting another Q&A session with our dev team. So stay tuned, and thank you for joining us, and see you next time.